Good morning, everybody. Let's start the basics required for electromagnetics. In the previous classes, we have discussed the significance of electromagnetics. What is this all about? What we are going to study here? Okay, that basics we have studied. Can anybody tell me the four fundamental forces of nature? If you remember, we have discussed it. Four fundamental forces are present in nature. You can put it in the chat box. Four fundamental forces present in the nature. Because it is very much required. You should know about it. You are studying electromagnetism, combination of, yes, one is gravitational force, okay, FICA, gravitational force. Another three, nuclear force, it's actually a strong interaction, fine. Strong, gravitational, other two, so obviously one is strong, so other one will be weak interaction. That's what we call it as radiation. One more. I think it's nuclear. Yes, one more is nuclear. You are given gravitational, strong, nuclear, and the weak. So four different fundamental forces available in the nature. So it's very much related to us because we work on electromagnetism. We start with the atom, the structure in an atom, how we make use of the structure. The bounding is important. Then how the fields do influence us, electric field and magnetic field, the combination we make use in electromagnetism. See, whenever now what I'm telling you is when you're studying engineering, you might be having that concept in mind that engineering, you are going for jobs, so whatever job related things are there, what you're going to do there in your jobs, you should study that, okay? No doubt it is required as per the technological advancements, you should study the topics and the subjects. For example, some of the new tools, some of the new kits are coming into the market, so you should have those knowledge, then you should get your technical skills updated. But however, certain basic principles remains the same. Let me give you one example. Now we are studying electromagnetism. Here you might be thinking the subject is very much old, okay, but probably 18th century, okay, the inventions, what all the happenings have been done here, it is very old. But however, the basic principles are the same. Fine. As an example, you can see this field, the electric field and the magnetic field. These concepts here in your theoretical part, you do analyze. Okay. How they get the things, how the equations are derived, no doubt you study that analytical part. But nowadays, how you are adapting it, that you should have some sense of correlation. For example, if you just go through the YouTube, you will come to know robotics. Okay, when you are going for robotics, your robotics arms are there. Okay, there how this electromagnetism concept has been adopted. You should search for it, and you might have seen these big JCBs lifting big materials, okay, from the ground or maybe to lift something. So there are also different ways. One example I am giving you. There are different ways. One is this mechanical moving. Okay, JCB you might have seen how it will hold the thing and then it will capture the material or the object and it will lift it. However, the same can be done even using this electromagnetism concept. For example, when you are using the robotic arm, that arm, if you are using it in any factory, just to pick the material, drop it somewhere, that material which it will pick on the hand, that hand it should be stick with you. Okay, else it will drop because you are human beings, you can catch hold. Your brain will give you that signal to hold that object if you take anything in your hand. But how the robot will come to know? Okay, it's not a human. So whenever that robot will lift something on by its hand, that it should be attached to its hand. So some concepts of these electromagnetics have been adopted there. So please, you go to just one example I have given you. Go and search for it in your YouTube. You should try to Google it. You will come to know. So don't think that whatever you study is simple basic principles, the same old obsolete subjects. The basic principles are the same. Okay, these are the building blocks. These concepts you can use anywhere. Fine. With this, let me start. So for the understanding of electromagnetics, we do require vector calculus. The concept of vectors should be very much clear. So for that, let us start with this physical quantity. So I will start this and I'll connect it to the vector. So what is a physical quantity? Any quantity that can be measured is called a physical quantity. Example I have given there on the screen, I have shared it. You can see length, mass, time, etc. LMT. You might have studied it in the units and dimensions. Okay, length, mass, and time. One more example is best example is your weight, body weight. Okay. That is the quantity which is measurable. Then one more example, temperature. Temperature you can measure it. So likewise, you have many quantities available in nature which you can measure. They are called physical quantities. Now, how physical quantities are classified? Fundamental and derived. So, as the name suggests, fundamental. They are the basic quantities. They are not dependent on any other. Like length. Okay, length isn't dependent on anything. No doubt for human beings, your height is dependent on your growth. That's a different part. But however, when we are talking about the physics, okay, technicalities, if you see, time is not dependent on anything. Then length, it is not dependent on anything. Temperature area wise it is different, however it is not dependent on anything, it will vary on its own. So these are the quantities which do not depend on any other quantities. Okay, but however the other classification if you see, that is derived physical quantity, they are derived from these fundamental quantities. For example, you can see I have written there force, density and work. Density, the equation for density, if I remember, it is mass by volume. Okay, density is equal to mass by volume. Mass is the weight. Okay, so it is dependent on the weight and the volume of the structure. Then we can identify the density. So density you cannot derive for any material. It should be got from its mass and the volume. So it is dependent on some other two fundamental quantities. Similarly, force. Force is mass into acceleration. Again, acceleration is speed divided by time. Then speed is distance by time. So again, force is dependent on fundamental quantities. Likewise, we have classification, fundamental and derived. Now, coming to our part, scalars and vectors, these are also physical quantities, of course, because they are measurable. Anything which can be measured is a physical quantity. Now, let us see where in which categories they fall into. Obviously, they are measurable. See, what is a scalar? A quantity whose value may be represented by a magnitude. Either it may be any positive or negative number. That is called a scalar quantity. Example for scalar quantity: length, time, then pressure, volume, etc. Why I am telling that length is a scalar quantity? Because if you see the definition of vector, what it says? A quantity which needs both a magnitude and direction to specify it, to define it. It is a vector quantity. So just try to compare it. The difference in scalar and vector, we don't have direction here. Okay. If I say so and so, my height is say 5 feet 3 inches. If I say this, I don't mention that in positive direction it is this much, in negative direction it is this much. I don't specify the direction when I am telling you my height. So likewise, if I tell time, now it's 11:35 a.m. So I don't tell that 11:35 a.m. in this particular direction and the time is this much. No, I don't specify the direction. I need only the magnitude value. So that's why they are scalar quantities. But when it comes to vectors, vector needs a direction to specify. For example, if I say the velocity of a certain thing is so and so in this particular direction, okay, direction is very important in velocity and acceleration. Then force, force in which direction force is applied, that matters. Either it is in away or coming into. So there are different forces are there. If you remember, what are the two categories of forces present which you have studied it in physics? Anybody? Which two forces you have studied it in physics? I hope you remember. You can put it in the chat box, or else you can just unmute and answer. Which two forces are there? No doubt those fundamental forces, so that's a different thing. In physics, when you've studied these concepts, probably yes, rotational and translatory. Okay, might be rotational. Okay, coming to rotational, any other classification in rotational? Anybody quickly? You can even Google it. You have the cell phones with you. Frictional force. Okay, physics. Okay, good. It's good. You are coming up with many answers. Very good. Sana has given frictional force. Tayyaba has given rotational and translatory. Any other? Just put it, as an answer. Let's see. At least if we don't know, we'll come to know. Quickly. Time is running. Any other force? Try to remember when it comes to rotational things, okay, rotational objects. Try to think any specific force you have studied. Okay, at least I will mention the force, you tell me what it means. Yes, very good, Tayyaba. It's centripetal force. One more, it's opposite of this. And now it's very easy. Yes, centrifugal, correct. So, that's what I was asking you. Centripetal and centrifugal force. So again, the direction is very important. The difference and all you have already studied. What are these two forces? Okay. So force, again, the direction of the specification is very important. So it is a vector quantity. So now we have seen what is a physical quantity, what is the classification, what is a scalar and what is a vector. Now coming to our point, we are mainly interested in vector part. Okay, this physical quantity vector, we are interested in electromagnetics. Now, how a vector is represented? You can just see on the screen, a vector is represented by drawing an arrow, okay, in a suitable coordinate system. So you have studied basically 3 coordinate system in any subject, mathematics, physics, let it be. These 3 coordinate systems are very first thing rectangular, then spherical, and then cylindrical. So you can choose any coordinate system as per our convenience. We will go for them as and when we proceed towards the analysis. So in any coordinate system, we will represent a vector by using an arrow mark. Now, if you see below here, I'll just mark it and show you. Look here. If I show this, between A and B, that R, capital R represents the magnitude of a vector. Okay, what is the magnitude of the length of that particular vector? How to find out the magnitude? You might be knowing this already by distance formula. You have studied this already. the distance formula is given by square root of 3. I have chosen simple rectangular coordinate system x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2. 3 points are there in this rectangular coordinate system. This is your rectangular coordinate system in 3-dimensional. Center point is 0. So if I choose between A and B, if I choose this as x, this as y, and this as z, x, y, z somewhere, okay, these 3 lines indicate, try to just close your eyes and try to imagine your classroom's edges, 3 lines, okay, the corner edge. When you enter the classroom, that is the corner, okay, 3 edges, and some point A and B somewhere, okay. Here on paper I cannot show you the 3D, okay, concept. You have to visualize it. Point this A, it is A, and this point is B. Imagine these two A and B in your classroom. Close your eyes. These 2 points A and B, they are hanging. Okay, in the classroom, in the whole space, A and B points are hanging. So point A is having the coordinates x1, y1, z1, means the distance from these 3 lines, 3 edges of your classroom, it is x1, y1, z1 in 3 directions. Similarly, for B, x2, y2 and z2. If this is the general points, then distance formula will give you the magnitude of that particular vector. Okay, I hope you understood this. Now, the direction, how to specify the direction of that vector is by making use of unit vector. This unit vector concept is very important. Whenever a vector we specify, we associate a unit vector with that particular vector. As the name suggests, unit means the magnitude is 1, and it is indicated by, generally we use small letters, a suffix small r, or sometimes ijk are used. I think you are very much familiar with ijk points, or even sometimes xi or something like that. Here in your electromagnetics, ijk terms are used, or sometimes ar is used, or even sometimes a suffix x for x direction, a suffix y, and a suffix z. Okay, these x, y, z are smaller letters. A is also small, but it's a suffix. X, y, z are suffix terms, smaller one. So we use either ijk or this generally throughout in electromagnetics. So any vector is represented by its magnitude and direction. You can see here the magnitude of unit vector is unity. Hence, if you take any vector, say f, okay, that f is represented by, it's having certain magnitude r, associated with is one particular unit vector ar, and cap indicates this unit vector. How will you find out unit vector from this equation? Just take AR at the left side only, keep it left side, then F is on the right side, take R to the denominator. Just a rearrangement of this equation. F by R will be equal to AR. It's difficult for me to use the mouse and do this. Okay, it's something like this. So, what I have done? F I have written it as it is, denominator R I have written the distance formula, that's it. So any unit vector, how you can find? The original vector, given vector divided by its magnitude will give you the unit vector. This is about the vector, how a vector quantity is represented and written in an equation form. Now the work comes to you. For today's class, this is the work, vector algebra. Either you take 2 or 3 or 4, you should do vector addition for that particular amount of vectors. Here, if you see on the screen, I have taken two vectors A and B. I have written here parallelogram law, but in depth you should brief it. What is the law of parallelogram? We have studied this already. It is used to add the vectors, how it is used, and the basics. You should know that. So for today's class, this is your work. First one is vector addition. Then vector subtraction. How it is done you should know. Why I am giving this work is, once we get into the concepts well, you should again that time you should not ask how this addition is like this only, how subtraction has been done like this, why we have used this equation to find the unit vector. Hence, this background work, let's do it first. Then it is easy to go into the concepts. So first work is, you should get into depth of vector addition, law of parallelogram, and how generally the vector addition is defined. Then with some example also, okay, if possible. Then vector subtraction, second work. Then third one, vector multiplication. Let me write it here. Vector addition, vector subtraction, vector multiplication. Here I have written one line. If A is a vector and lambda is a scalar, it is just like say 2A, something like this. Okay, 2A. Then the result is a vector. Obviously, 2 indicates simple magnitude, just like lambda. Its direction is same. Some example I have given. Better you do by yourself vector multiplication, and then not very important, but at least you should know how to define vector division. But important is vector addition and subtraction. So these are the 4 points in vector algebra, today's work. Okay. Then the next work will be, what I will do, I will just mention in this class, but however in HRMS I will be putting this assignment typed. It is better for you. The next work for today is, after this vector algebra, vector resolution. Resolution means resolving a vector into 2, 3 number of components. So resolution of a vector or vector components, this is the heading. So today's work will be vector algebra and vector resolution. In vector resolution, you come across these unit vectors, how you find I, J, K and every details. And then the next work is, for today's, 3 coordinate systems. A rectangular coordinate system, you should know how a rectangular coordinate system is drawn, what are its points and how the points are defined. Rectangular. Similarly, spherical coordinate system. In rectangular, the variables are x, y, z. Then in spherical and cylindrical, they are different. R, theta, phi, R, phi, z. Okay, we use them. So you should know these 3 coordinate systems. So I think this much is enough for today's work. Okay, else you will get fed up with electromagnetics in one day itself. So today's work is vector algebra, addition, subtraction, multiplication and least bothered division. Then vector resolution, resolving a vector components, and then 3 different coordinate systems. So this is for today's class work. So you complete this. One more of such this simple discussion kind of class we will have. Then quickly we will start with the Coulomb's law, the first concept. Okay. So I hope you understood today's discussion. Not very difficult, I hope. Notes. Okay, some question is there, ma'am, when you will upload this notes in student portal. You want the same typed notes what I have shared on the screen? You need the same, I will put it, no issues. Anyhow, I am maintaining this in my separate notebook and I hope you people will also do that. I will put this in portal, I will put it. And if you want in Google Classroom also, I'll put it, no problem. Okay, today I will do this. let me complete the classes. At least one more class I'll take and put it. Okay, I hope today's discussion was fruitful to you. I hope you will complete today's work, vector algebra, the resolution of vector and three-coordinate system. I need your assignments to be submitted in HRMS. Fine? Okay, shall we stop the class? Thank you so much. We'll continue in the next.